I want to talk about seasons and the seasons in relationships and the seasons in friendships. The Lord has just kind of been just dealing with me as I have been in the midst of a transition. Um, it's like a transitional season. I just been in the midst of some shifts and transitions and things. And so the Lord has just been dealing with me because I have, I've been going to Him, and I know, of course, I've been spending a lot more time with Him, but I've also noticed that I have not been spending as much time with certain people and friends and things that I usually would. I've been feeling withdrawn. I've been feeling distant. Um, and so, I was kind of just dealing or just talking to the Lord, and I was like, Lord, my relationships are starting to feel a little bit different. What's going on? Is something wrong? Did I do something? Is something coming to an end? And, one of the things that growing up, I dealt with abandonment growing up. I dealt with a little bit of rejection, but I dealt with abandonment growing up as well. So one of the things that I always, would kind of try to brace myself for, but would never really be prepared for, but always, assume or think what would happen is the end of a thing. I had a little sister who passed away when I was really young. And from that point, just experiencing relationships and people who would come into my life and who would be, good and good and good. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, it would seem like where things would just be split apart, relationships would just die. And so that kind of just built up something in me that always made me anticipate the end of a thing. And so I found myself in this particular season where I was feeling myself becoming distant and feeling myself just becoming it almost kind of feels like unrelatable to a few people who are close to me. And I was going to God, I'm like, God, why does it feel like I'm not on the same page? Why does it feel like we're on two different pages? Why does it seem like, why does it not feel like, we're as close? Or why does it feel like we're not talking as much? Or why does it feel like, and then God would just begin to remind me that, for everything, there is a season, and that even in our friendships, there are seasons. And I think we don't talk about this enough because we have a lot of people who, and we see it on social media all the time, who they'll feel a way because a person or someone that they've been close to all of a sudden isn't close or doesn't feel close to them anymore. All of a sudden they're focused on what they're doing, and that person thinks that I need them, so why are they, what I'm saying? Or sometimes we have seasons where, God will literally pull us to from everybody else that we've been dependent on, to focus on Him and to depend on Him, and we'll begin to feel like, oh, this person this person that. But really the reality is that the season in your friendship has shifted, or the season in the relationship has shifted, or even individually, you two have gone into a different season. God has pulled you into a different season, and He's pulling you into a different thing, and He's trying to do a different thing in your life. And it's requiring you to just to kind of come away, but I think that it's important to just address, to acknowledge, and to talk about that it is normal. It is normal, and it's normal for healthy relationships, healthy friendships, for people to have seasons where it seems like, okay, they might be hanging out all the time, talking all the time, and everything's and there may be seasons where they may be called to their quarters, called to do what they need to do, and nothing changes. They have to know, a good solid friendship, and this is how I know that God wants us to be with Him as well. But a good solid friendship knows that even in the season where we're not talking a lot, that nothing has changed, that my love for you has not changed, that our relationship has not changed. And we know that when the season changes again and God brings us together again, and God aligns our times and things up, when He aligns us up again, that we're going to be right back where we were, that nothing has changed. And I think that's one of the things that used to bother me, or that used to concern me or worry so much, is that when the season shifted, I would feel like that was just the end of it. And so at that point, I would just completely detach. And even if God was bringing it back together again for another season, I would just be like, okay, I'm already detached. And I don't trust. Because I have all the assumptions that I have made in myself, in my heart, that I have believed and I have carried. And so it has caused me to even, set aside some relationships, and some friendships that I've had in the past. I just be like, whatever. But now in this day and time where God is teaching me, I'm understanding. And I'm also understanding that, in these seasons, that we have seasons where, yes, God may pull us away from who we, have talked to over and over, like every day, someone who we're super familiar with, and he may pull us to something unfamiliar because it is critical, or because it's instrumental in what he's trying to usher into your life in a particular season. And I think that we have to learn not to take things so personal, not to take these shifts personal, because they're not when it comes to your friendships. The shifts in your friendship are not personal, okay, but they have something to do with your destiny. They have something to do with your person. They have something to do with God's will for your life. And so instead of us, when the shift happens, that we lean on our own understanding and our own emotions, and start to think, well, maybe this and this and this, and then we begin to sever the friendship. We begin to feel like rejected, and once if you've dealt with rejection, or even whether you've dealt with it trauma wise, or whether you just experience it, rejection does not feel good. And we have a tendency to assume rejection when things shift, or when things are no longer in the way that they were, or that they were comfortable to us. And that happens too when we miss God's timing, when we don't pay attention to the signs, and God is like, okay, I'm pulling you this way, or when you're busy focusing on something that God is like trying to get your attention away from. Because in the midst of a shift like that, when God pulls away, and he pulls you to something else, or he pulls you in a specific season, you can tell when you're not focused on what God needs you to focus on, because you're too busy in your emotions about the friendship, about the person that's not talking to you 24/7 now. And that's something that I think even now, in this point in my life, and in this point in probably some of your lives, that you may be experiencing, where your friendships, or where maybe just last month you were talking every day to somebody, you were talking every day to your best friend, or you were talking to every day to your old friend from high school, or you were talking every day, and now all of a sudden you guys are talking every other day, and your conversations are short, and they aren't as meaty as they usually. You're not talking about as much, but the reality is that person is likely in a new season in their life, and you are supposed to be in a new season, and you both have to lean into that and acknowledge it, and let God do what he needs to do. Because you also never know what it is that God, not only is he trying to usher things into your life, but he's trying to do things in you as well. He's like those seasons, he's trying to bring you into some new things as well, bring you into to meet new people, to meet new opportunities, or even just to focus on what's inside of you, and what he needs to change inside of you, or what he needs to do inside of you, because your relationship with that person, may be holding that up. And not necessarily that it means that person is intentionally holding you up or holding you back. Let me be clear, because how we like to blame, we like to just assume that, okay, then that means cut somebody out. No, it could mean that you're focusing too much, or it could mean that you're becoming too dependent on that relationship, or you become too dependent on that person, or you're becoming too dependent on their faith and what they got going on, or even the fact that both of you, that your faith, what you're looking for, or what you're wanting for God to do, or what God is planning to do in your lives, is totally different. And so at some point it requires for you to go separate ways, for you to go in separate directions for a season, and then you come back. And when you come back, you come back even better, because God done did his thing, and you guys come back and you can celebrate, and you guys can come back and testify and rejoice together, and have your season of rejoicing and resting, and doing whatever it may be. So I wanted to come on here today, because, and I haven't been on here in a while. I haven't been on my YouTube in a while, so I know y'all haven't seen me in a minute, but it's good to be back. But I wanted to go in here and just talk about just the seasons of friendship, and if you are experiencing that, or if you have experienced, or if, like I said, if you've noticed that there's a sudden change in your relationships, you may want to sit back and just realize, and just ask God, okay, what's going on with this friendship? What's going on with this relationship? Because there are some relationships where God may be saying, cut it out. and you know those relationships because you know that you know the drain, you know if that relationship is a distraction, you know if it's leading you to do things outside of God, you know that, or you know if God has been telling you, okay, this person ain't who you think they is, you need to back on up, you know that, but still go before God and ask him, okay, God, what's up with this? Why I'm feeling some type of way, God, and I don't want to feel, I don't want to assume anything, I don't want to think wrong, I don't want to, so God, what exactly, what's going here? What's going on here? Has a season shifted in our friendship? Has a season shifted in my life? Has a season shifted in their life? And now it's time for me to focus on something else right now. They're trying to focus on something, and even in the midst of God, that as well. And I think this is something that we have to learn to do as well. God, how do I support them in this time, or how do I still support them, or because even so, if God says, okay, well, yeah, their season has shifted, they have moved into a season where they're getting ready to go into the promise, or they're shifted into a season where I need them to focus on me, I need to do some things, and okay, God, how can I support them from where I am and still go forth in prayer, sending up prayers on their behalf, loving them, supporting them, checking in on them. God, how can I still support them? And I believe that they would do the same. If you have that good friendship, I believe that they would do the same. But I think that we really gotta have that conversation. We gotta look at ourselves. We gotta look at our relationships, and we gotta understand that, and we gotta be careful not to allow the enemy to be in our ear, and not to be in our ear about people, and not to be in our ear about essentially accusing the people that if you know that you've been close to this person for years, all all this, and y'all have been working together, y'all have been together in faith, praying together, and then suddenly there's a shift, and God is calling you this way, and you feel the relationship, and don't let the enemy be in your ear and telling you, they tripping on you, or they don't like you no more, or something happened. Don't let the enemy be in your ear. Don't let rejection be talking to you. Don't let abandonment be talking to you. Don't even let fear be talking to you, because fear will speak as well and say, oh no, no, don't even let those things speak to you, those spirits speak to you and tell you those lies, or accuse your friend, or accuse your sister, or accuse this individual of rejecting you, or of abandoning you, and bring forth discord or division and things like that. We just have to understand the seasons, and sometimes even when things happen, I think there are sometimes as well, and I'm gonna say this because I've been there, but there are sometimes as well where a shift will take place and the seasons will change, and there will be friction, tension, and things like that. And then when that happens, what we do sometimes is like I said, react from the emotions, come from the carnal and the flesh side of things, and we react, and then we end up in an argument, or we end up doing something, or finding ourselves in a situation where words are exchanged and things, and what we don't realize is that a shift in seasons is just taking place. However, the enemy has come in with confusion. The enemy has come in with discord. The enemy has come in with division to take this point where God is shifting, where a shift is happening to tear apart, to literally to tear apart and to destroy a relationship that still needs to be standing, because a time is going to come back where it's going to need to be there. It's going to need to be standing. So we have to be careful at that as well. But I just want to leave that with y'all today. Have that conversation, and have that conversation with God. If you're going through that, if you're seeing that, have that conversation with God. Take it back to Him and ask Him, God, has seasons changed? Have I shifted into a new season? Has this relationship shifted into a new season? And if it has, help me to deal with it, because we're human beings. We're going to have emotions. So if you have emotions about it, God, help me to deal with these emotions. Help me to get through these emotions, to deal with it, to see different perspectives. Help me to get what I need, to do what I need to do, so that I can move past this, and so that I can shift well, and that I can make sure that I get what I need, I get done what I need to get done, and my friend gets done what they need to get done.